This is ACEP's Capital Minute, a look at what's happening in Washington, D.C. right now that's affecting emergency physicians and patients. I'm Laura Wooster. Last month, shortly before ACEP 18, the Senate Bipartisan Price Transparency Work Group released a discussion draft of proposed legislation it plans to introduce on how to address out-of-network billing issues, including those provided by emergency physicians. Last week, ACEP submitted a detailed response advocating for a better approach to addressing these issues. ACEP's response to the work group, which includes Senators Bill Cassidy, Claire McCaskill, Chuck Grassley, Michael Bennet, Todd Young, and Tom Carper, highlighted several key issues, including the unique nature of emergency care and how EMTALA and the Affordable Care Act discourage health plans from entering into fair and reasonable contracts for in-network services, that the draft's proposed across-the-board federal ban on balance billing should at least be accompanied by a corresponding federally defined minimum benefit standard, why the usual, customary, and reasonable definition proposed in the draft as a minimum benefit standard could still be manipulated by insurers and suggestions on better methodologies, and how additional provisions regarding patient notification for post-stabilization care at an out-of-network facility would conflict with both existing federal regulations and high-quality care delivery. ACEP's letter is part of an ongoing conversation with this bipartisan work group that began in March 2018. While the work group recently announced its intention to introduce the legislation by the end of October, ACEP reinforced the need for time to collect and analyze data and assess the proposal's impact before rushing to introduce a bill. To read the draft bill and ACEP's comment letter, please go to the link at the bottom of the screen. ACEP's newly inaugurated president, Dr. Vidor Friedman, met with Senators Bill Cassidy, MD, and Todd Young in Washington, D.C. last week to discuss the draft legislation and expand upon ACEP's perspectives on this effort. In addition to these conversations, Dr. Friedman also met with the staff of the members of the bipartisan work group on Friday morning to offer feedback on the proposal and help refine the language of the draft.
The bill's trying to take patients out of the middle, which is good. We appreciate that. The problem with the bill is that it bans balance billing, but it doesn't set a minimum benefit standard. And we've had issues with some state bills that are like this. So what we're trying to do is inform the work group, which is made up of, it's a bipartisan work group made up of 6 senators. We're trying to help them understand the difference between emergency medicine and the rest of the House of Medicine, and how important it is that if they're going to enact a balanced billing ban, that be accompanied by a minimum benefit standard as well.
While in Washington, Dr. Friedman also participated on Friday in an FDA listening session with members of the physician community to talk about drug shortages. ACEP was one of 10 physician groups invited to participate as part of the FDA's Drug Shortage Task Force, which is working to identify the root causes of drug shortages and develop solutions. Dr. Friedman shared the perspective of emergency medicine, highlighting common shortages experienced in the ED and how it is affecting patients. This meeting, as well as ACEP's ongoing conversations with the FDA, also reinforces the effectiveness of advocacy by emergency physicians. During the 2018 Leadership and Advocacy Conference, emergency physicians urged legislators to ask the FDA to look into the root causes of drug shortages and deliver recommendations to Congress on how to fix these significant problems affecting patient care. Thanks to the efforts of emergency medicine advocates, these letters secured more than 100 bipartisan signatories in the House and more than 30 in the Senate. In response, only a few short weeks later, FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb announced the creation of this FDA Drug Shortage Task Force, and the Commissioner himself has made this issue one of his top priorities. ACEP will continue to be active in this effort as the task force delves further into this critical issue. Another big win for ACEP, as Congress has finally passed its large opioid legislative package. The bill includes the Alternatives to Opioids in Emergency Department Act, or ALTO, and the Preventing Overdoses While in Emergency Rooms, or POWER Act, 2 bills ACEP worked closely with Congress to develop and get included in the package. This legislation is critical to improving emergency overdose prevention and care coordination, as well as optimizing pain management in emergency departments. President Trump is expected to sign the bill into law later this month. For more information, please go to the link at the bottom of the screen. At ACEP 18 in San Diego, we released new polling data that shows emergency department violence is increasing. Nearly half of emergency physicians report having been physically assaulted while at work, with 6 in 10 saying those assaults occurred in the past year. The research was released during a press conference that featured ACEP President Vidor Friedman, as well as 2 experts in ED violence.
Emergency departments are kind of a microcosm of all the challenges that we face today in society. Gang violence, gun violence, domestic violence, psychiatric illnesses.
So unfortunately, this is a problem and continues to be a problem. Healthcare workers in general are, if you look at just nurses and physicians, if you look at the number of assaults that they suffer, they are about 3 times higher than the public sector.
The new research has appeared in news around the country, including NBC News, the front page of the Boston Globe, and Kaiser Health News. To read more about this, please go to the link at the bottom of the screen. That's ACEP's Capital Minute for the second week of October 2018. I'm Laura Wooster. Thanks for joining me.